if you remember, I was showing what kind of went on between um, me kind of ending my Grand Prix Legends stuff in 2006, and then moving on to all of the other games, and then trying out sim racing broadcasting, and then getting involved in Speedway amateur racing. So I took a little bit of a break from just being behind a computer for a while. I think I probably still dabbled in bits here and there, but I wasn't. I was mainly concentrating on real world stuff. If you follow, so I was doing fundraising and what have you of and using Speedway as like a fundraising tool, and also using it as like a thing where I didn't think I would be able to do it ever, so I'm doing it before I won't be able to do it again. So at this point in time, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to physically go on a bike again. So yeah. But I wanted to show you some of the. I showed you like review videos last time, and it kind of it opened up my like the. It was the creativity aspect that I enjoyed. Editing videos and kind of presenting the stuff to be displayed to promote fundraising in some ways, plus to show that everything is possible. That was kind of my idea. It was to kind of inspire others. So yeah, I wanted to show you some particular highlights of some of the things I did. So I just showed review videos, but I actually did like a video per meeting, so I edited it. So I wanted to show I was going to say some highlights. And what kind of creative things I got into. So what I'm just trying to think which one to do. So I'll show you this one, because obviously this things didn't go right in this one. So I'll show you the kind of thing that I did. Right, where's the is it that one? I don't think the sound came out on that one, did it? There we go, that's better. That's better. Right, so this is a meeting from 2012. So it's 12th of August. So still very, very hot in the UK, of course. So we basically were doing some team riding. So this is pure amateur speedway. There's nothing real like you'd see on TV. And this kind of meeting took place every single year, called the Credit Crunch. So this would be my second year in amateur speedway on my own bike. So I was never really good off the starts because it was scary. Very scary. And I was always competing against people that were, let's say, my seniors. So I was just kind of racing to keep up normally. But there was a lot of people that took part in these amateur meetings. Some of them were ex-professional riders. Some of them were kind of, I wouldn't say current riders, but some of them took part in more meetings than I would ever have, so they had some history. This is only my second year actually doing any racing, so and it was nerve-wracking to say the least, because you're not only trying to compete against other people with more experience than you, but I was battling against what was actually possible physically as well. So I got a single point out of that, I think, if I read that right. So I was the red. I'm in the blue. That's me in the blue. So my teammate is in the red. If you don't know Speedway rules, you're always kind of offset between each gate. Someone hit the tapes. Back we go again. They're penalised. So basically, my teammate has gone off 15 yards, or in fact, he's not competing at all. So it's probably just me for team points in this race. The leader is away. I mean, I still look back at these videos now and wonder how I even did this. Because it's just kind of punching way above my ability. And I mean, it doesn't look very fast when you're watching it back, but when you're on the bike, it does. And this is nowhere near, the speed of, like, they would do it for real. They would be going into the turns wide open, but we aren't, because we're amateurs. So second place. So that's 2 points. There isn't any breaks, that's the thing. Again, I'm competing with my teammate again, which is in the red helmet. He was the one that didn't get off the line last time, and he still hasn't got off the line, so I'm on my own again. So the two ahead are both teammates. Now, if you don't know the Speedway scoring, it's 3 points for the leader, 2 points for second, and 1 point for third. You don't get any points for fourth. So you spot there's some blocking going on here. And you have to kind of you have to kind of think a bit, because there's no brakes in these things. If you do go for a maneuver, an overtaking maneuver, you haven't got the luxury of just kind of pulling the brakes and saving yourself. So I mean, it's all confidence based at the end of the day as well. I could quite, if I was feeling confident, I could have gone right the way around the outside of this guy, but I wasn't. It's so difficult. Again, 1 point. We are behind. So our team at this race was Wyvern Dragons. That's who we were. So our team is way behind at the moment. So I've scored 4 points at the moment in total. This is my 4th race of the meeting. But I've basically, in all of my races, I've never had a teammate. This is the first time my teammates got off the line. So I've actually got some support this time. Left the line in 3rd. I was always very wary of what was going on around me because it's the sim racing thing. You want to be fully aware. You know, you're still kind of unsure whether you'd be able to hear someone coming up the inside. It's my teammate. Come on, my teammate. He's going wide. So you're in 2 minds, really. You're wondering whether you should actually pass your teammate because wondering whether you could go faster to get the leader, or whether you just slow him up. But he's all over the place. He's making mistakes and everything. So I think I was kind of a bit more passive with it. I didn't want to kind of ruin. So the leader's going to get 3 points. Second place is going to get 2, and I'm going to get 1. So basically, it's a draw for this race, 3-all. So I'm basically scoring points every single race, but my teammates haven't been. And I mean, normally you do 4 races, 5 races per meeting. So this is my 5th. So I've now got a black and white helmet on, which means I'm going for double points. So any points that I score will be double. Oh, I got it all wrong. So I fucked it. So the white and yellow ahead are teammates. They nearly collided. So at the moment I'm on 2 points because it would have been 1. So I don't know why these two are battling ahead. They are teammates. So the second place is basically... Oh, that's first place gone. So I'm now on 4 points. So we're going to score more points than the leader. Oh, red flag. Does that mean it's going to get awarded? I can't remember. Oh, it's going to get restarted. I was on 4 points, damn it. But it's just me, my teammate, and one other. So I could have sent it out the inside there, but confidence, that's all it was about. It's very, very difficult. But I'm in second again, so. He's making all the mistakes in the world, and I still can't catch up. It's kind of like sim racing where you were like, oh, come on now. But by the fifth heat, I mean, these races only take, what, 2 minutes or so? Each lap is, what, under a minute? And you do 4 laps? So maybe 3 minutes. And you do maybe 5 at minimum. It's not like... It doesn't seem like a lot. And to a person that's quite unfit and with physical difficulties to say, it's very difficult. So I got 9 and a bonus point. Pretty good. For but I mean, the team didn't win the meeting, but it was like an event with more than one. So the next meeting, the same teams would compete, and then you would have an aggregate score. So 9 points plus 1 it was a good haul of points. For me anyway. So after 5 races, I was absolutely pooped. So that's what a meeting would be like. That's what an event would be like. I don't know if I can go back. That one. So, I wanted to show you in particularly. So that's the kind of things that I would do for every single meeting, like a review video, I suppose you would call it. But then I would sometimes get into doing little teasers for upcoming videos, which I kind of enjoyed because it again tickled my creativity. So this is one of the teasers that I did. so yeah. So I love to kind of tease something that I was going to be releasing. So it seems like that's actually a video. I don't think it's in order, particularly. So I also did videos of my practice sessions. And I want to show you this one. Because obviously it wasn't just a case of you went out on track and you made it, you made it up as you went along. You actually did get some training. So I was lucky enough to get some training with the amateur club that I was with, and I always found it very very inspired. Obviously, if I was trying to do this myself and just make it up as I went along, I wouldn't have the right technique. So there would be instructors kind of telling you what you should be doing to help you improve. And this was one particular session where we had like a training session where we turned up on the day and we worked on what we wanted to work on. So I mean, I'm hoping that I'll turn it up a little bit because this is going to have some speech in it, so you want to hear. I love a slow motion intro. Now, I don't know an awful lot about engineering and bikes, and I just know. I mean, I learnt how to take apart a carburetor and stuff like that, and wash it, and take apart a clutch and bits like that. So it was like an adult Lego set, but a very expensive one. But I just knew that you push start it and away it goes. And it gets a little tea cozy you put on the engine once it's warmed up. You put a little tea cozy on it. So I think this was just our first 2 laps out, just to get warmed up. And obviously to assess the track condition as well. It's also very similar to sim racing, where if you're practicing on your own with no one to chase, sometimes you can kind of get in your own head. You end up not pushing yourself as much. So it was sometimes easier having someone else on track with you. I mean, the music is just it's a bit much for what I'm doing, you know. But I actually had a mechanic for some of these sessions. So this is I think in this particular meeting, I had some on-track tuition, but I needed like a couple of sessions just to get warmed up. So he's giving me, like, you can see the shooter out on the track giving me kind of encouragement of when to open the throttle. So you can get in your own head about, you know, he has experience in knowing when I should be opening the throttle. Rather than me relying on kind of playing it safe, because you can't play it safe. You've just got to go for it. So what he's doing is actually getting me to roll into the turn, and then he's telling me when to actually turn the throttle on. You get to do a little bit of a practice start on the inlet. I would get into these. I'd love timing things with the music. So edits where you kind of. That was kind of what I was interested in doing for these little videos. So I think from now onwards, I would get someone to go out on track with me. Whether it's this session or a bit later on, I don't know. Obviously not this one. But he's out on track again, and he's telling me, just open it up. Because you've really got to get the back wheels spinning. Otherwise, I mean, you don't want grip. You want the thing to be sideways all the way around the turn. And you've got to be going quick enough to get sideways. And in the back of your mind, you're always thinking, this thing has no brakes. What happens if something goes wrong? And I mean, the buzz that you get from coming off the start with these bikes is just immense. Because I mean, these things go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds if you've got it fully open. I didn't normally have it fully open, of course, because it's difficult. Right, so there's someone out on the first turn here. Right, so what the tutor is getting me to do is start at the entry to the turn, raise the revs, get the back wheel spinning, and then lean it over. I did bottle it because it's a weird feeling once you get the engine starts to sing. So he wants me to lean it over more, so the back wheel can come out. So I think at this point, this is the furthest I'd had the throttle open, and the whole machine vibrates and sounds completely different. So you've got to be up front on the bike as well, because if you sit back on it, the rear tire's going to grip. So you want to be up near the handlebars. So he's getting me to follow my follow my tire marks. So you can obviously see where I've been, so that gives you a guide on where you've got to lean the bike in. Your turn in point. It's like following the dark marks on a braking points on a track. But again, it was the first time that I'd ever had the throttle open that far, and your instinct is to turn it off. Your instinct is to actually to roll off the throttle, because you don't normally have the whole thing vibrating. And it's like the adrenaline was nuts, because you're doing something which is completely outside your comfort zone. You're on a bike with no brakes. But once, I mean, it's like once you had the... But I mean, once you had the throttle open and the... But I mean, it was like you had the throttle open, you had the wheel spinning, and the bike would actually kind of float over the surface. So when the tire was gripping, it's actually more difficult. The bike is actually heavier. And once you kind of get used to the back wheel spinning, it feels free. It's so hard to explain. I suppose it's the same as drifting. Once you have the back wheel spinning, you can just keep modulating the throttle to keep the back wheel spinning. This is more like once you've got it wide open and you've got the back wheel spinning, letting off will obviously make the tire grip, and when the tire grips, you won't go sideways, you'll go forwards, and that's into the barrier. So But I mean, it was the whole courage of keeping the throttle open and keeping it pinned. So difficult, because all your instincts are saying, shut it off, you're going too fast. But you can see that I'm creeping forwards a little. So I've got the clutch fully in. It's just creeping forwards because the clutch is getting so hot that the clutch plates aren't. They're kind of getting too close to each other. So it's the constant encouragement of saying, getting rid of that self-doubt of what you're constantly telling yourself. I can't do this. This is just unnatural. Why? But he has the tutor on track, who's called Russ, has the experience. So I mean, once you've done it once, you're like, it's possible. Nothing bad happened. So that was the spin of the clutch plates. So that was training. And I mean, I needed that kind of encouragement to actually do this kind of stuff, because it's like, how is it even possible? And I mean, I still kind of debate to this day how it was even possible for me to do that. And I mean, even like I was going to say a normal person, but it's not a normal person. More like, for someone that's ridden a bike before, you have to teach yourself completely new things, because your instinct when you come into a bend is to feather the brake. But with this, you're doing completely the opposite. You're coming into the bend, you have no brakes, so you put your foot on the ground because you've got a steel shoe on your left foot, which skids across the ground. So that gives you some kind of, it's like you've got a roller skate on your left foot. So you bend the bike over, lean on your left foot a little bit. You got to have you're up front of the bike so that the back tire is as loose as possible, so it can slide out. So you come into the turn, you still got to keep the throttle open, and when you lean the bike over, the back tire will come round on its own, and then you just got to keep holding it open, because as I said, obviously if you've got it sideways, and your instinct says, right, shut it off, when you shut it off, the rear wheel grips, and you don't go round the corner like you were drifting before. The thing will grip up and you'll go forwards into the barrier. So you've got to have the courage to either keep it wide open, control the slide, or bad things happen. So so I did tend to do things like that, but I did like not promotional videos, but I did like I suppose inspiring videos. That's mostly what these presentations were. I didn't have to film it, I didn't have to edit it, I didn't have to put music to it, but I wanted to use it as a form of inspiration for other people to kind of say, well, everything's possible. So yeah, that's the type of thing I like to create to inspire other people. Because it wasn't just about me. So I did do some other stuff to not to raise money for me, but it was more like there was an annual karting event that I used to take part in, and I mean I'll show a little bit of it, but I won't show all of it. An annual karting event which would raise money for injured riders. Okie dokie. So I used to take part in some karting events, and I'll show you the part one of. It was actually I did take part in the 10th annual, but that's like 43 minutes long, so I'm not going to show you that. Just trying to think. So that's 2014. Let's go. I'll actually show you first of all karting with my family and friends, because I got to take my my helmet camera along to that. So at the end of 2014, got to go karting. This is when sim racing comes into it. Get to use racing lines. Whoa! I was a bit ambitious. But it was quite funny using my virtual experience to be able to do this stuff. I think I'd been karting a couple of times before, and this was my third or fourth time going. So that's my brother-in-law ahead. Ruthless. Absolutely ruthless. Probably a bit naughty then, overtaking under yellow flag, so I wave him by. But we overtake him anyway. But I basically started from the back. And there's no real way of knowing who you're overtaking. Is this for position? I have no idea. I'm gonna get a good old ding dong with this guy. Looking for the switchback. And getting a better exit out of the corner. Using all of that sim racing experience. Up the inside. I basically cut, I don't know where he went, but I basically cut his nose off. And he has to be very, there was a couple of people on track that hadn't been karting before, and they were a little bit timid, and you had to be very careful around them, but squealing the tyres. I mean, this is I think a twin engine 270cc, so it's not really got a lot of power. So you have to be on the throttle really, really early because it takes a while to spool up. But obviously the things that I'd learned from sim racing I applied here. You've got to be, if you're going to overtake, you overtake. You don't kind of, you don't half and half it. You got to be confident. But obviously with sim racing, you're not dealing with the bumps and the physical nature of getting bumped around in the car, and so painful. Fun, but painful. And I mean, it was so different because obviously you would be used to having like a lap time counter or something to be able to tell if you were doing fast laps. You just kind of had to make it up. You didn't know whether you were going faster or not. You just had to experiment. You know, when the tyres were squealing, I suppose maybe you were pushing it a bit too far, but it was definitely a bumpy course. So we might as well look at race 2. So I've got second in that heat. So back for race 2. I don't know how they did the grid. I think it was on fastest times in the first couple of heats. Or that was the finishing order, so I lined up second on the grid here. And I mean, once you were in the cart as well, you were in it for 45 minutes or so. So you got stiff. So I had my keen eye on the guy on the left there. I mean, it's not like you can rev a cart. So you just had to press the throttle. So this was for the win. Oh, we had someone sneak by. I should have shut that off. So at least in this instance, I can definitely tell who was the who my opponents were, because it's first and second in front. It's when obviously the lapped cars get involved that it gets a bit confusing. So I was just playing a watching brief. Didn't really want to get involved. Just wanted to capitalise on mistakes, because I knew that we were racing for at least 15 minutes or so. Just want you to stay with them. So they're getting away a little. I mean, at least they're in sight. So a bit different from the Speedway. I've got the helmet camera is not on the side of my head, it's on the top of my head. So it looks like one of them spun out. So I'm against the guy in the white helmet. So this is a lapped car in front of me. So I have to be very aggressive. So lap after lap. So I think something's about to happen. That's why I've skipped forward a bit, because it is basically the same thing. So whether or not he gets caught up or... So he must have got caught up in some lap cars. He's dropping back a little. See that, where I'm getting faster? So he's spun, trying to pass a lap car. So you see how bumpy it is. And I mean, I don't know any laps towards the end that was. I mean, he must have just really misjudged trying to pass that lapped cart. There's no blue flags or anything. So... And I mean, you can't really look behind you. You can sometimes maybe see a cart behind you if there's a shadow, but... Or when the course goes back on itself, you might be able to see the other cart, but... Just had to go as fast as possible. So at this point, it was just like, when's the checkered flag coming out? When's the checkered flag coming out? There it is. Hooray! So I've got a another video of when we went karting after this, because it used to be like a yearly or bi-yearly thing. But I never actually got to edit that. But I've got the video of it because it was a bit more dramatic in that one. Now the trick is not to put your hands on the engine behind you, because that would bloody hurt. So that's the guy I beat. Successful, I would have thought. So yeah. So that was like it was basically when I went karting with my brother-in-law and his friends, or niece and nephews or something. I can't remember who was who, but yeah, that's what we did there. So when we did like the charity events for injured grass track riders, it was a bit more of an endurance affair. So I think it was like it was like a 2-hour race, and I think we had 4 drivers, I think, and each driver did half an hour, something like that. So I'm just reading my emails. I just need the text spaces in pairs. Covers. Don't know why that's any different, but bear with me a second. So yeah. So the aside from all of the Speedway stuff, I didn't really use the karting stuff as a fundraising thing. The karting with family, I just wanted to kind of capture that for posterity's sake. And I mean, I've got like a couple of trophies on my shelf over there to kind of commemorate it. It was going to be like an annual thing that we're going to do karting, but I think like real life just got in the way. But as I say, the Buckmore burn up was more like an endurance event, and obviously the amount of people that were taking part, there was so many people. And I went to Buckmore Park twice. This was where this was held. So Buckmore Park is quite famous because it was obviously being used by like ex-F1 drivers and stuff like that. So it's got like an expectation of being a good circuit. It's quite good layout. I think when I took part, it was when I took part back in 2014. Yeah, 2014. It was before it got resurfaced, I think. But yeah, so this is all after I'd stopped Speedway in 2013, and I think I probably did one of the kart races. So the 10th annual Buckmore Burn Up was I think 2013, and then the 11th annual was 2014. So at the end of my Speedway season, In 2014, I wasn't doing any Speedway at all. So I'll show you part one, because it is quite long. The stuff in. It was the first time that I'd actually done karting at night as well, and I mean the camera didn't really pick it up very well. So I'll show you what it looks like. So it's quite low in volume, but so it was wet. It was dark. And we had to do driver changes. So this is my teammate in front of me there. So he got out of the cart and he was going to walk away because basically the cart's got fueled up. So he's basically got to be next to the cart while it gets fueled up, I think. So I don't know what the mix-up was. So he basically got told to move away, and then so I was the last to get in. This is the fourth stint, basically. So it started in the evening time. Practice was actually in daylight, but this was actually first time taken to the track in the new conditions, I suppose. Same kind of carts that I used at the other place. But in general, racing against people that knew what they were doing, and I didn't. So I got wrecked, basically. Someone turned me around in the fastest part of the circuit, and I can't turn the cart around because I can't rejoin here. I didn't want to get T-boned. It's the fastest part of the circuit. So I was looking at the flag man. Not a great way to start, but hey ho. So it was actually easier to see than what the camera can pick up. I can't remember if I actually did any light boosting on the camera footage, but there was a lot of people that were aggressive, let's say. They didn't really care if you had contact. And a lot of people didn't really respect what's the word? Didn't really respect track racing rules, let's just say. I'm just getting past left, right, and centre here. Everyone had far more confidence than I did. And it didn't feel like I was doing too badly, considering this was only my second time racing this track and in the dark. And it was a little bit wet, so... Trying to use my sim racing experience to keep up. But it was scary coming down into this section because it felt so quick and the car felt so loose. But I was kind of sick of getting past, to be honest, so I went to actually fight back. But I've basically got this guy with a bib on that's dive bombing me every corner. But I didn't think I was there just to make up the numbers. I hoped that I was actually able to, make a difference. But I just seemed to I never felt like I was passing anybody. I always felt like I was being passed. So it didn't do a lot for my confidence, let's say. But being on a greasy track was definitely a bit of an experience. But you see how bumpy it is. Obviously, I was probably being a little too lenient with some of the people on track. I could have kind of held my line a bit, because it just seemed like it was just a free for all out there. People just doing that, dive bombing you all over the place. And I mean, apparently you could go full throttle in the first turn. I just couldn't do it. Again, better to chase and be chased. Sometimes a bit easier when you had someone to kind of gauge your speed against. So I had to the best lap times that you are actually underneath my camera up there. I had to actually take it from the score sheet. It's not real time or anything. I had to actually do this one by one. So that was my fastest lap of the race. A 55.1. So those two ahead are tearing two shades of shit out of each other. And I remember early on in the practice session, I did have a spin down into this section, so I think I was probably a bit wary. I mean, I'm kind of keeping up with those two, but I mean, I don't know what this circuit is like nowadays. It just seems so bumpy when we were racing back then. It was so painful. In some ways, I suppose I was in like endurance mindset of, you didn't want to get caught or get into any scuffles. You just want to maintain a consistent lap time, and I'm going faster every single lap. I'm now down to 154.5, so I'm getting quicker every single lap. And I think you only had like 10 minutes or even like 4 laps of practice, and it was in completely different conditions. It wasn't in the dark. I mean, I would have been able to see an awful lot more than you can see on camera. Let's just put it that way. But the fact that it was greasy and it was darker than usual, and the track lighting was mediocre. Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't have tried to pass in the last turn because it ruined my momentum on the straight. But as with sim racing, it took me a while to get warmed up. I'm actually holding my own against the guy in front. Oh. But that turn was so bumpy. But it's so difficult to pass on. I just found it so difficult to get a run on somebody, because if they were just running a block line, I just couldn't gain momentum to get past. I kind of daren't hit the curbs as well because of how bumpy they were. He was coming into pit anyway. But he did notify me a bit late that he was coming into the pits. He should have put his hand up all the way up that hill. But my fastest lap time is a 54.5. The faster guys are probably in the 59s or something. 49s. Or faster. But again, I want you to take part in this because it was kind of a mind over matter thing. I wanted to prove to myself that I could still do stuff, even with my physical problems. I wanted to prove to myself and others that I could still do it. So this guy is basically blocking me now. So I think I wasn't very confident with my overtaking. Basically, was just getting bumped all over the place. But yeah, racecraft. No. Didn't exist in that event. Did not exist. Did not exist. Still fun though. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it. What's the time? The time is... Oh god, it's 5 to 8. 5 to 8. I was going to go through one of the other, some more bits and bobs, but I think I'll start that next time. Probably didn't actually get to any gaming really. I'll probably start that next tomorrow. Yeah. I was just actually looking at my my donation page. Raised £462. Cool. But that will come later. I'll show you that a bit later on. Right, I'm gonna go off and have some dinner. I won't be streaming I won't be streaming at all tonight, but I'll be streaming tomorrow. Where's my let's see. Right, I'm gonna go raid Ben because Ben is doing his US West Grand Prix qualifying. He's at Long Beach for his 9th round of the 1984 season, so we'll go say hello to Ben. It looks dry, so we'll go say hello to Ben. I'm going to be back tomorrow, so join me then. Let's say hello to Ben, give him some encouragement. It's only qualifying for his US West Grand Prix, so hopefully he gets a top 10. But yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.